Good afternoon, YouTubers. Well, sorry I'm a bit late with the video. I've been to the hospital this morning, had an appointment with the hospital, and the doctor to discuss the results of the scan and things like that. And he came out with a big smile and he said, "Oh, I've got good news for you," which is great. I like good news as opposed to bad news, of course. It's always better to get good news. And the nub of it is that the chemotherapy is working. It has reduced the offending item, not by 50%, but not far off, was it? What did you reckon it was?
I reckon 50%.
It was definitely looking like half the size, for sure.
Yeah, very broken
But not
down.
quite, not
very,
quite.
Very broken
So,
down. The guy was really impressed
Yeah,
with the results.
yeah. So I'm not jumping or opening any champagne corks just yet. I think that would be a bit premature, but it's definitely headed in the right direction. So we're going to go off and do a few more cycles of that. So that's where we are with that. And I want to say a big thank you to everyone.
Yeah.
Everybody who sent good wishes and prayers and hugs, and it's been overwhelming. There's been just so many. Thank you so much. It's been really...
It's been lovely, actually.
It has.
And there's a guy when we go in for the chemotherapy, and he's just all on his own. I don't know, he probably has got someone else, but it got me thinking that some people go through this and they don't have anybody, they're on their own. And we're really lucky because there's the two of us. And
Fiona's my rock. She really is.
And I know quite a
is.
few of you guys are going through stuff. And some of you have mentioned that you're on your own. And I'd like to think that you're not on your own, that you've got us here, and you can comment or just listen. And then, because our lives look like it's just paradise, I suppose, sunshine and jacuzzis and boats and stuff. Because we don't like to moan on and whine about stuff that is a little bit awkward, not just your medical issues, but I mean other things in life, just stuff in life, and that can be irritating for people. It's like, oh, good for you. So I want you to know that we do understand now. I mean, I'd always felt terrible, but it's been different. You know, before you've had an experience like this, you assume that the oncologists and people like that they'll be quite firm in what they want to do, and they're not at all. They're not. They've been so marvellous. I can't speak highly enough. The nurses, the doctors, and I said to the guy this morning, really, this is not an exact science, because the wild card is each patient, each individual. They never know how a person is going to react to chemotherapy or any medication or any invasive procedure or anything at all. And I thought that a few weeks ago. It's a lot like us at the Dolphin Safari, isn't it? The big question we are always asked by the people when we set off is, are we really going to see dolphins?
Most of the time is the answer.
But the times that it's difficult, you could sit there and talk to them for an hour and a half, really, about all the different elements that affect the chances and stuff. And that's working with Mother Nature, wild animals. And I feel that the oncologists are feeling their way through in exactly the same way. And when I said that to the guy this morning, he said, "Welcome to my world." Exactly. It's not an exact science. And actually, Graham is an extremely rare case, and they're seeing some things that they don't normally see. And no one knows why why anybody. That's a big question, isn't it? And again, it's because each person is an individual, and you just never know.
Okay, and the other subject, you were on...
Spanish elections.
Yeah, Spanish elections.
Very surprising results. Our current Prime Minister did a lot better. Everybody thought he was going to get slaughtered. And the party that everybody thought was going to take over and work with the Vox, they've not done as well by any stretch of the imagination.
The one we've got at the moment, sort of centre-left.
Yeah.
But he's got the right wing out there, and he's got the far right out there as well. And it's always generally a hung parliament. You know, they never seem to get the majority unless they grab someone else, another party, and bring them in to get the majority. And
It's often
that
a
involves bringing the
coalition
far
here.
right in as well as the right.
And the far left.
And there's
We
the far
had
left,
the far left were propping Pedro Sanchez up for quite a while, but now it's interesting. He's might have to cozy up to Basque and Catalonians, and I mean, how times have changed.
Yeah. I mean, the Spanish peninsula was divided up. I mean, years ago it wasn't Spain. It's about 4 different kingdoms. Portugal was one of them, and Portugal is still separate. It's a separate country from Spain. But there was Galicia, Catalan, Granada was down south. There was another one in the north.
Yeah.
And slowly but surely they all combined.
And I think what a lot of people don't realise is that when
a lot of different people.
When General Francisco Franco was in charge as a dictator, I don't think he was in charge of the entire of Spain. He, I think, had about 2/3 of the regions under control, and the rest he just couldn't. And even he apparently said Spain is ungovernable.
He wasn't the first to say that. Lots of
they've got spirit in this
kings going
country.
right the way back have said they're ungovernable. These people were just
they're wonderful. They're wonderful. I love them. Passionate people.
But you get people that want the independence as well.
Yes.
You got what's the Catalan they want.
Catalonia.
And the Baskies have been after it for years.
No,
I mean,
Baskies were sorted out by some kind of funding, so a lot of the ETA stuff was
Basque country
down.
is right at the top of Spain, and it goes into France as well.
Yeah.
So the Basque people have been cutting off. Half of them are French and half of them are Spanish, and they don't. They're having
And it's really weird when you drive through there, like San Sebastian. The
It's
signs are like
different.
Greek, different symbols.
It's not like Spanish, because if you pick up a book to learn Spanish, you reading the King's lisping Castilian.
Yes.
And they don't speak that language in the whole of Spain.
No.
It's but that's the proper language of Spain. But it's
the common one that everybody. Like if I go on a government website, I can choose Castilian. I can choose Catalonian. There's all different ones. Never English, unfortunately, and so I have to practice my Spanish. And don't forget to use Firefox when you go on a government website here in Spain.
Yeah,
it's the only browser that seems to work.
But hopefully they'll get their act together. We haven't had the final results in yet, have we, from the Spanish
Yes, I think they
elections,
have. Now what they're working out is who's going to cozy up to who and form coalitions. Pedro Sanchez got, I think they said 122 seats, and the PPE, I think, got 135, but the Vox didn't do very well, and the Pedro can make friends with, he can do the maths, he can make more friends than the PPE or something, so, but it could even end up being another general election in a couple of weeks. That's not uncommon here in Spain. They had, I think, 4 general elections in 2014, didn't they?
Hung
they just keep going, keep going.
After hung,
yeah, never-ending elections.
We had one in the UK, didn't we, when the Tories got back in 2009, was it?
2010. They had a coalition.
It cozied up
with
to the Liberals.
Democrats. That's
and
right.
The least said about that, the better, I think.
Yes, that was very surprising. Nick Clegg, David Cameron, wasn't it? But we'd left the UK by then. Yeah. But here it's not uncommon to have more and more and more general elections and just keep going until they get a result. Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait and see. The reason it affects us is we're all worried about the border.
Yeah.
But it looks like that is not really going to be a worry.
If the right wing get in.
They won't. If they have another election...
The far right, they're more likely to close the border. Do a Franco on us,
I don't think they're far right, actually. I was reading up on them. I don't know enough about them. I'm not sure about that, but they certainly want the rock back.
Yeah.
Whereas the ones that...
They probably want England as well, because they feel that the Armada failed, but they should have conquered England, so they want England. Probably. I don't know. I just made that up.
It's like Philip of Spain and Elizabeth I all over again, isn't it? Yeah, we don't want to go back to that. No, it is a very interesting country, because having come out of a dictatorship relatively recently, it's an embryonic situation still.
Yeah.
It's ever developing.
Anyway, changing the subject slightly, Fiona was on a live last night with...
Blair, Duchess of Nark, Sussex. She's lovely. I love that girl.
I must put a link to that in case you don't subscribe to the Duchess of Nark.
And Trevor was on it, and Queen Gertie was on it.
Queen Gertie.
And then I had to go to bed, so I'm not quite sure who
I
was.
went to bed early
Karma.
because I was quite tired.
Yeah.
Karma was on. He's changed his name, hasn't he, Karma? Has he gone back to Karma?
Lord... Oh, I can't remember.
Well, you'd have to watch the video if you're interested. I'll put a link to it either in this video or on my community page. I haven't done it yet, but I will.
We had a very, very early start this morning.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't that early, but we get up really early and go in because of the queue, and there was no
queue. I videoed it, and we just drove straight to the front pretty much and went straight through. No problem at all, and it was like 9:15 in the morning. And when we came back out, there was very little queue. There was a little bit of a queue, but not much. We were only waiting a couple of minutes.
Yeah, it was
at
incredible.
The most. So just goes to prove, when they're in the mood, that border flow's great. It's fully functional.
I think today is a Spanish holiday.
Is it?
And of course,
that might explain some of it then.
It's school holidays anyway in Gibraltar, and I suppose this side of the border as well, because there was no traffic in Gib either. We got straight through, and then we were there really early.
That's one thing about living in Spain. You never know when the holidays are because they have so many.
And different ones depending on the region. And Andalusia, I think, has more than most.
So you go to the shops and it's just shutters down. You think, oh no, I need milk.
Yeah, they always catch me.
But luckily, they've got a Moroccan guy who's in the shop. He's not a Christian, so he's always open all hours, so we can get stuff. He's a bit expensive, but he's got everything. It's all there. It's all there. Got a few messages coming through. So
I think that's our daughter, isn't it? We'd better go.
She must have landed.
Oh, right, yeah. She'll be back from
Where did she go?
France.
She's gone somewhere in France today.
She went to Montpellier today.
Yeah, she's not going to Rhodes anytime soon, hopefully.
They are flying to Rhodes, apparently.
EasyJet, yeah. Who would want to? It's got lit, hasn't it? Rhodes at the moment. It's we
have them here. We have them here. We've had bushfires.
This is a big problem. If you're thinking of moving to Spain and buying a house in the Campo, which is surrounded by trees and grass, come summertime when it's like a tinderbox and we're having a particularly nasty heat wave, it only takes goodness knows what to set it off.
Piece of broken glass.
Someone with a fag throwing it out the window, the car going past.
I'm not sure, nobody does that anymore, really.
I'm pretty sure that most people are not that idiotic to do that, but it's possible, isn't it?
You know yourself that dry grass only needs to get to combustion.
Yeah. And it's a big problem, these fires, they just rage. And it's the smoke.
We get them quite frequently on the mountain behind us. And they work their way down towards these houses, but they never get this far.
Everything's blackened and... But it's gone. It's gone. In a couple of months, the grass has all grown again. It's amazing how quickly it grows back. It's a natural phenomenon, I think.
It's really the poor people who are in their houses and they
if you're out in the countryside, because there's a lot of areas in Spain where there's like a quarter of a mile between people's detached houses and they've got loads of land all round. And you've got no protection from bushfires at all. So that is an issue. It's better to live in the town in that respect, for sure. For sure. I mean, the houses are mainly built of concrete and stone. They don't have lots of wood like you would have in the UK or in America. You've lots of wood in the house. There's lots of things to burn. But there isn't in a Spanish house. There's nothing to burn, really, apart from the furniture, and a lot of that's flame-proof these days. But it's the smoke. It's the smoke that gets you. And the heat, isn't it? So, yeah, you have to look into that one. Bushfires are very, very dangerous, for sure.
Well, I want to buy a piece of land, ultimately, and build a sea container house on it.
Yeah,
and do it cladded on the
inside.
inside, cladded on the outside. I'm going to play a guy with a torch gun to cut arches and for patio doors and stuff. Bolt them all together. Fantastic.
You'd need some sort of underground shelter, I think, from fires.
I don't think that. I think evacuation is better. But at least the sea container.
You've got to be able to breathe air. You've got to have some sort of filtration unit.
But the sea container would survive. That's what the people
the house
are afraid
with water, I suppose, until the fire's gone past. I don't know.
The people stay with their house to put the fire out because they're fearful of losing all their... The best thing is evacuation. because anything can be replaced.
Yeah.
It's people and animals that can't.
Yeah. Good night, and may your God go with you.